Now to our breaking news from the East End. Numerous people have been shot in Scarborough. Safia Kambali is now live at the scene. Safia?
Everyone was running. As we know, 21 people were shot. 2 people have been pronounced dead. 19 others taken to area hospitals with gunshot wounds. Among those, a toddler believed to be under 3 years old.
A few years ago, while watching the evening news about an incident in this community, I was impressed to start praying for those in this neighborhood. Knowing that the gospel was the only thing that would make a difference in the community, I started to pray that God would send other pastors and other churches into this community to bring the gospel.
It was back in 2005 when I remember the call from God to come back to Toronto and plant churches. At that age, I was just fairly young, but over the next several years, God confirmed that calling upon my life. And then back in 2011, my wife and I moved down to East Lake Community Church in Virginia, and that church, after spending several years down there with them, helped to plant Discovery Pointe Church. When we moved into this community, Janan and I realized that we were in the right spot. We realized that this was the place God had called us to be. Almost immediately, we began making connections with people in this area. And it was just amazing how people became a part of Discovery Pointe Church in just the very, very early stages. And these people would form the core team of our Discovery Pointe Church.
I first got connected to Discovery Pointe Church 2 years ago, and I found here a community of wonderful people who are following Jesus.
Discovery Pointe has been a great source of just community and fellowship with people who are on the same page and the same track about the gospel in this community.
At the beginning stages, our church just met in the basement of our home. It was like a small one-room apartment. It was pretty crowded. But on March 22nd, we moved and had our very first service in the East Scarborough Boys and Girls Club, just around the corner from where we're at right now. For several months, we met in the Boys and Girls Club, but then on August the 18th, I remember God specifically calling us to pray that He would provide for us a location that we could use 7 days a week to minister to people in the East Scarborough community. I remember praying that night, and little did we know that that day that we were praying, a for lease sign was going up on 4566 Kingston Street. And the very next day, I remember it so clearly because I was at the corner of Kingston and Morningside, and I was driving along, and I was at the stoplight, and I remember praying out loud to God and saying, God, I know that you've called us to this East Scarborough community, and I promise you that if you will provide for us a building, we will use it 7 days a week to glorify you in this area. Not 10 minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot of this building that we're in right now, saw the for lease sign, called the landlord, and by an awesome moving of God, we got this place. Now, to be honest, when we first moved into this place, it was a mess. There was a lot of things that we had to clear out, we had to renovate, we had to change, and it took a hard month of work to really get this place in order. But all the while, as we were going through this project, I remember this thought going through my mind. Not what could God do just in a building, but what could God do in a transformed life? See, at Discovery Pointe Church, we like having a building where we can worship together, and we praise God for that. But our church is about people. We want to see people's lives transformed.
Okay, me and my wife had just been moved to Canada in 14 December 2015, and we are praying and looking for God's will, and eventually also for a church. And one of these days, I think God took care of us. We were just passing here, and Pastor Ezra came and met me and says, if you want, I can give you some toys for the children. It was kind of after Christmas.
I seen a sign on my way home from work at the Boys and Girls Club, and I came a few months later.
I was looking for online sermons, and I came across Discovery Pointe website.
I got to know about Discovery Pointe when Ezra walked into the gym at Heron Park, and I spotted him talking to one of my fellow friends. And I walked over there to hear what they were talking about, and he was talking about God, and I was intrigued. And ever since then, that's how I got to know about Discovery Point.
At first, what drew me to Discovery Point was the pastor's name, Ezra. My name is Ezra as well. What really drew me to Discovery Point was the foundational focus on the gospel, and we've never strayed away from that.
The thing I like about Discovery Point Church is the people, because they're very nice.
We've come here and we value the passion and the love of others, and the love to exalt and focus on Jesus.
This is my family, plain and short of it. When I first came, I felt like home.
The thing I like about this church is the small community we have right here.
As we've grown, I have loved the opportunity to work with the women of Discovery Point. We've had opportunity to share, to laugh, to even just almost cry with some of the burdens we've had, and it's been awesome as new women have come in and we've been able to just continue to expand and grow our circle of friends.
Discovery Point has allowed me to really invest in others in the community, especially youth, as we have our Discovery Youth on Friday nights, and we are able to just reach out to youth that really need love and care and investing in.
What I love about Discovery Point is that it's a huge tree in the community, and this tree provides the shade for the whole community, and that shade is of Jesus Christ. So one day, even if the tree was to be pulled out in its roots, people will miss the shade, and that shade is of Jesus Christ, and that's what I love about Discovery Point. We need it.
And I'm thanking God for Discovery Point now.
Now just think, that's stories of other people. But if that's what God could do with someone else in this community, just imagine what He could do in your life as well.